Welcome, gorgeous seekers, to this powerful and intensive full moon, moon magic. This is going to be about the full moon in Pisces happening on September 13th and 14th, 2019. Overnight, during that night, we are going to have quite the full moon, quite the level of conversations. Now, this full moon is really bringing some big archetypal energies to the table to have some very strong and powerful conversations. There are oppositions and squares right and left during this full moon. I am coming into this full moon actually feeling really tender this morning as I was kind of preparing. I've been going through a lot of revolution in my life and feeling a lot of emotion. It's been a really powerful, happy time for me. And it's also just been this extremely emotive time, and I think it's the perfect time to talk through this full moon in Pisces. It's taken me a couple extra days to kind of get my head around it as well. Normally I would have had this discussion figured out earlier than now, and there was something about this moon that was eluding me a little bit and making me kind of follow the breadcrumb trail of the intuitive side of the creative process and the intuitive side of this journey with this moon. And yes, Piscean energy and the moon in Pisces does illuminate our emotive quality, our intuitive, innate sense of process, of knowing when to dream and when to act, and trusting more into that more mysterious side, more of that high priestess energy that comes with Pisces moon. And this moon is happening at 21 degrees of Pisces, and it is very close to Neptune at 17 degrees of Pisces, right? Of Pisces. And so Neptune rules Pisces. The moon is a watery energy in Pisces. It's very powerful. And so, Piscean energy is about connecting to soul, connecting to that aspect of ourself that is expansive, that isn't just trapped down here in the nitty-gritty details, but is fantastical. Neptune and Piscean energy in general wants to expand us back out to the biggest, broadest vision we can have, and wants us to connect with our soul at a very deep level. Piscean energy is a lot about healing. Yes, it can have associations with fantasy, escapism, and addiction. That's the shadow side of Piscean energy, but generally speaking, Piscean energy wants to open us back up to our soul and our soul voice. And so this moon is really, if you were just going to look at the Neptune moon conjunction in Pisces, we could just say, here's this really dreamy moon where, you can let your emotive information come through and give you information about how to move forward into the next phases of life, right? But of course, it's not that simple, because we have the moon and Neptune in Pisces. And right across the way, we have Sun and Mars in Virgo. And these are exact oppositions. So moon and Sun are at 21 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. And Neptune and Mars are at 17 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. Now, Neptune and Mars, these two planets have very different ways of moving through the world. They have very different ways of experiencing life, of making things happen. Neptune is going to ask us to trust our soul voice, our intuition, and expand out and look into our dreams and our fantasies. Mars is going to be, what are you going to do today? How are we going to get this moving today? How are we going to get into action? What actions are we taking to live the life that we want to live? How are we acting in the world to reflect our fantastical side, right? So that opposition can be challenging because you could feel impatient. You could feel frustrated by your emotions. You could feel frustrated that, you have this vision, you have this fantasy, you have these emotions, and yet, Mars being opposed there by Neptune may feel a little bit like you can't quite push forward, like you can't quite do everything right during this moon. And there could be a feeling like, that Martian side of yourself has to slow down and listen in a little bit. With Mars and Virgo too, that's a very go-getter energy. That's very much about like, let's let's get it done. Like, let's get to the practical nitty gritty. What a great energy, right? But it is being challenged here to take a moment. Take a moment and think about how you apply that Martian energy in your life, that Martian energy that wants to make things happen. Where are you applying that energy? Are you applying it to the things that really fill you up, that connect with your soul, that connect with your soul vision, that connect with your fantasy side? Or are you applying that Martian energy in places that maybe, yes, it looks and feels like it satisfies the Martian need to move and make things happen, but it doesn't necessarily satisfy you on a soul level. So that opposition is helping you to parse through how you're using your Sun and Mars energy, right, in the world, and how you're moving through the world and how you're making things happen. How is it aligning with that bigger soul voice? This is a time where it's like kind of a chiropractic moment, of realigning things. Because yes, these are challenging, right? Oppositions give us this big mirror to look at things that are working and that aren't. It comes head to head on some things, right? And this is a great time for you to get information about what is really driving you and where you may be wanting to make adjustments to how you're honoring soul voice. Truly, where you can make adjustments to your routine, to your habits, to where you're putting your energy. Now those aren't the only conversations that are going on. This is such a wild moon because we also have Jupiter squaring off against Neptune. Jupiter and Neptune have been having a series of conversations this year because Jupiter has been going back and forth in the sky against that slower moving Neptune. And so both of these planets, Jupiter and Neptune, are all about expansion. They are very dreamy. They are not about like the small details. They want to take us into the big, right? And so when you have this square happening over and over again, and this is one of the last times we're going to have this square. I think it is the last time we're going to have this square because Jupiter's moving on to Capricorn. This is often, where we're over-promising, where we're kind of put, where you run into somebody and you're like, oh yeah, let's do that project, great, like I'm going to call you, and then you realize you don't want to do that project. It's the classic over-promiser energy. And that's going back into what I was saying. How are you using your Sun and Mars energy in life? Is it lining up? It's great to be optimistic and fantastical and dreamy. I love Jupiter and Neptune energy so much. They are two of my prime ruling planets, actually. I love the dreaminess of these energies. But it's true that, if you're misapplying them or you're applying them in ways that actually don't feel good, it does wear you down. You find that physically you can be more tired, you can be unmotivated, symptoms of depression or even just kind of melancholy can come over you when you let those energies kind of run riot, right? So this square is asking us to also look at that similar to those oppositions. The final big thing going on here is that Pluto is at 20 degrees of Capricorn, giving this moon a nice little sextile. And unlike these squares and oppositions that are a little bit more head-to-head, the Pluto sextile takes us back around to, like, I think where I really want you to focus on this moon, because yes, Sun and Mars are doing some challenging things, and so is Jupiter. All that fiery energy is challenging this watery moon. And it does cause irritability and impatience with ourselves, impatience with, I want to already be doing this. I want to already have this. I want to already understand this. I want to already master this, right? It's bringing up that irritability. But Pluto, like Neptune and like Piscean energy, Pluto, ruler of Scorpio, is a transformer. He's about power and obsession, but also transformation. It's another version of healing. And this sextile is taking us back to the roots and the bones of this moon. And I think that's the thing. It's like you can get a lot of noise, a feeling of noise and frustration and irritability from this moon. But when you're really listening to the core message, it has everything to do with Neptune, Moon, and Pluto. And these three planets having a conversation about listening to our soul voice and understanding that this is a time of rebirth. A lot of us are making commitments in September. We're putting our foot on paths. We are setting those new intentions and opening up big doors of opportunity, of happiness, of wellness, of excitement. of real joy. Beautiful things are coming up in general in the bigger landscape right now. And with Pluto and Neptune and the moon all working together like this is that chance to sit with those parts of self that do want to hold us back, do want to sabotage, or do want to like hold us in old patterns. So Pluto's really helping the healing expansiveness of this moon do that work. What an important part of the puzzle, right? And I think this is a great moment to pause. If you've been really in that Martian sun, Virgo, go, 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 details, let's get it done mode, this moon is actually going to ask you, hey, take a minute here and integrate some things that have been going on with all of that externalized, expansive energy. Take a minute to incorporate, honestly, what that Jupiter in Sagittarius that has been working with us for 9 months now, 10 months, what that has given you, how much that has changed you, how much that has shaped you. Let it incorporate and let your soul give you the messages you need. Because if you listen to Mars and Sun, and Jupiter, which are just going to be like, you should already be doing this, let's just keep going, let's push forward, you're going to feel that agitation. But the real message here is like, don't worry, Mars, Sun, and Jupiter are going to continue to do their work. A couple days after this full moon, you're going to continue to be moving on stuff. And they're important energies. Once again, how are you using that energy? How do you want to use those energies in your life? But what you really want to be listening for are those deeper, darker tones of emotive information, right? And that's what moons tend to be about. I'm pulling some cards. Page of Swords. There is clarity with this moon. As dreamy and fantastical as it is, and as confusing as some of these oppositions and squares could feel for you, there is clarity that comes from this, because there is a sense of this being a death and a rebirth moon. Full moons are about endings and beginnings, as we know, but this one is a little bit more mystical. It takes us a little bit more on that journey. Sun, wow. And the thing is that this is a death and rebirth about joy, about what brings us joy, about the commitments we are making. And it's very exciting. This is a time, and I'm getting goosebumps. Wow. This is a time where you're meeting your newest self. We have these really special times throughout our lives where the energy is just so that we get a chance to commune with our future self. 8 of Wands. Wow. And make some agreements within ourselves about what we want the life to look like. 5 of Wands. It's really funny, these are so fiery and airy, and I was saying, this moon is, it's a water moon, it's influenced by Neptune and Pluto, really deep, rich, ooey gooey, emotive, intuitive, emotionally brilliant energies, and they are getting squared off by these really fun, expansive, bright, fire energies, right? And all these cards are so fiery and clear and about pushing forward. And I think here's the thing, in making the agreements you're making, in opening the doors you're opening, in making the choices you're making, and the information that genuinely comes through intuitively, emotively during this moon, it may feel as though that weekend you aren't making, it's not moving very quickly. Maybe it feels kind of like, oh, is it all really going to happen over the next couple of months? Like, I need to know answers now. I wish I knew my answers now. And it may feel as though you have to slow down, but it's that slowing down to speed up. What's actually happening is the growth is so fast here. The potential for stepping through a doorway and moving very quickly into the next phase of life is so big here. Yeah. Page of Swords is a clarifier, right? Page of Swords, it comes in here and kind of takes charge and wants to just clear the way. Clear communication, clear messages coming through, right? I do think the expansive Jupiter-Neptune square and then Neptune-Moon influence and Pluto influence could be a little confusing. So, don't jump to conclusions. As usual, I always say that with full moons. Don't jump to conclusions. Give it a couple of days. If it's still true a couple of days after you go through kind of that energy portal, great. A lot of times that's That's how we parse through. But there is kind of a clarity here. There is a clearing of the cobwebs, a clearing of the way, an obstacle being cleared out of the way in no uncertain terms. And the thing I want you to keep in mind is it's about joy. So this moon, as much as it's about, it is a challenger moon. It's saying, hey, we're going to challenge you. What you're still holding on to, we are going to clear the clutter out. And we are also going to have you really look at where we want you to simplify down and really focus in on where you want to put your energy. And the Sun and the Eight of Wands are all about joy. They're all about expansion and creative flow, right? This is about where we feel so much joy. And here's the thing, with any transformation, with any choice to live a life, whether that's to start a new job, start a new relationship, start a new work project, it often means we do just have to leave something behind, whether it's old friendships or a location or a routine or a project or anything. There's something that has to go in order for that joy and expansion to be so crystal clear. And I think this moon is going to have a moment there of checking in with that. What's staying and what's going? What's expanding and what is washing away? Now, Five of Wands is a funny one, and I do think Mars being involved here. Mars is also squaring Jupiter. These are opinionated, strong energies, right? And there is this urging and this power energy kind of going through. Now, 5 is always this number in tarot of like growth, discomfort, and growth. It's tension. It's a point of tension where you have to learn via discomfort. Just one thing to kind of keep in mind, I don't like to get superstitious about moons because I do think we all experiencing these moons so differently and so uniquely. Some of you are probably going to go through this moon and you're going to be like, what? And some of you are going to have, a real roller coaster for a couple of days. But this is a tender and sensitive moon. It is very personal and private in many ways for each of us as individuals. And I do think it will ping up any fears we have. It's going to bring up any fears or old tendencies to protect ourselves, and it has the potential to kind of get us into a bit of a warring state where we're looking for somebody to say the thing that hurts us. We're looking for the thing that's going to trigger us to get us into kind of that argumentative mode. Of course, a bit of a tough conversation can be really helpful if it's done in a healthy and respectful way, and maybe that's something that's coming up for some of you. But just kind of keep in mind that if you feel like getting straight into combat mode, Martian combat mode, and you want to combat against your feelings, you want to combat against people that are close to you within what agreements you're making and within what doorways you're walking through, maybe just take a breath and remember that these oppositions are going on and that there is kind of there's a resistance to the expansion and the growth that's coming in. And that resistance is going to come in the form of wanting to just take action, just make decisions, just jump to conclusions, just get it over with, just be efficient. And this moon is begging you, please don't listen to that insistent, impatient, jump to conclusions voice that is efficient, yes, can survive. That isn't going to give you all of the gifts that taking a breath and listening in will. Mars will still be there the next day or a couple of days later, and that part of yourself that can be efficient and can make choices is still going to be there. And you can utilize that part of yourself. Once you have information, once you've listened in and taken a breath, the actions you take and the way you use your Martian energy in your life, whether you have Mars in Virgo or not, wherever your Mars is, it doesn't matter because that opposition is opening us up to this conversation. If you can apply that Martian energy in healthful ways that are loving and tender, that means life is going to feel a lot less like this challenge to survive, and it's going to be a lot more about this challenge to thrive, to try, to play, to venture forward, to be in the leading edge. And that's more of how we want to start using Martian energy, right? Not just to be in survivor mode, not just to be in armored mode, because Mars is the warrior, right? He's a lot to do with death and sacrifice. However, Mars is also about the father energy, the divine masculine, the divine creative force of moving through the world. And that is an element that I think we're learning to explore more and more of, is that divine masculine. Even the warrior has the ability to use those warrior skills to move on things in ways that are really beautiful. and empowering. And so that's, this moon is having, there's a lot going on, right? I hope I covered it all, but you know, I could go on and on about this moon. Take really good care of yourselves during this time. Be as gentle as you possibly can with yourselves. Give yourself room to breathe within this. Make sure you're checking in with yourself. Give yourself some time. Do whatever it is. Do some creative projects to release those emotions and to hear them out and to bear witness to yourself and bear witness to those you love. And, you know, always great to be supportive of others at this time as well. I'm sending you guys so much love for a beautiful full moon. I'm going to start working on the October readings very soon, and I'm so excited to explore the energy of October. It's such a powerful month, one of my favorite months of the year as we head through Libra and Scorpio seasons. I am very, very soon going to be opening up my fall calendar. It's been kind of, I've been teasing you guys about this for a long time, and so if you want to get on the list so that you get notified so that you can sign up and grab one of those spots, I would highly recommend you email me, because that announcement is going to be going out to my specific people who have asked to be on the notification list. They will be the ones who get to find out and get their sessions first. So, you know, you've got a tiny window here where you can still be included on that. So I'll leave all my info in the description box. Please follow me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you guys there. You can also find me on my website and via my email. Like I said, I'll leave all of that in the description box. PinkLune is always my girl. She's always doing some new creative things, so go check out her Etsy shop. Subscribe and like this video. I'm so glad you guys are hanging out. There's going to be a lot more fun stuff to come. I'm so excited. I am sending you guys so much love, and I will see you very, very soon for another Moon Magic and for the October readings. Mwah.